Hey everybody, welcome again to eChannel Channel News. We've got Binny Gill. He's the CEO of a company called Kognitos, and we're going to talk about what they're doing in the world of AI and see what happens. All right, Binny, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Julian, on your show.
All right, let's talk about this. So, what does the company do?
So we build a business process automation platform for large companies that are looking at leveraging AI to automate their mundane business processes that are a chore for humans, and now AI can do that for them.
So, Binny, a lot of companies are talk the same words in
Yeah.
many ways, and we have agentic AI and lots of things they say has been automate the hell out of companies. What's different from what you do?
So we are doing it in a way that makes it more natural and normal for people who are not technical to understand how this is going to work. So if you think about how humans have dealt with humans at scale, right? Whether it's businesses or countries, we write down the rules, we write down SOPs, write down recipes, we write down the constitution, right? We always have used written down explanation of step-by-step mechanism to make sure that other humans that we don't have time to train or teach can actually follow and execute. We are bringing that same paradigm to AI as well. So even if you want to use AI, you should do the same thing that you've done with human intelligence at scale. It's like write down the steps, call it a standard process, and then have AI follow it. So we have built a neuro-symbolic AI engine that guarantees that without hallucination, it's going to follow the steps that you have given. And that's the core differentiation we are bringing to the table. While humans don't hallucinate because you've interviewed them, you know their background, and you vetted them out. Um, with AI, you'd never know, and that's the core problem we're solving. It's a neurosymbolic engine that just cannot hallucinate because of the way we have designed it.
Well, Benny, I think you know that humans do hallucinate. It depends on if they're taking drugs or not, but that's a
Yeah,
different
and
kind of
that's why you
hallucination.
do a drug test, and that's why you fire them. But AI, you cannot fire, unfortunately. All the AI is just the same.
Exactly right. So, Benny, when you look at the AI, there's we've seen the latest, OpenClaw and how it's becoming easier to create these agents to do certain things, and it's a bit of a wild west in a way. Like there's so many different ways to achieve, these outcomes, automation, AI agents, and so on.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts when people looking at this? This, I guess, mix of solutions available, right? How should you kind of approach this? Because we all want to automate, we all
Yeah.
want to remove those mundane tasks, and we have all these different ways that people are saying, do it this way, that way, whatever way. Um, how do you help them to understand the ways to do it and why your way may be a better way?
The most important thing to understand in today's rapidly changing world of AI is what take a hold of what is not going to change, which is how do you want your business to operate, independent of AI or humans, whether humans are doing it or AI is doing it. You know how you want to run your business. You first have to document that. Okay, that's what the core thing is. And our mission is let us help you document how you run your business and then make sure that never goes stale. What happens today is that you might bring in consultants, they'll come, hey, I'm gonna tell you as is how your business is running. The moment they give you the report, it is already stale. Somebody has made a decision somewhere in some department, now they're doing it differently. The core thing, the next thing is you need to have a business that is running based on the documentation rather than the documentation being a representation of how your business is running. The documentation should drive your business. That is the only way that will never become stale, right? Notice I never use the word AI in all of this
Mhm.
because fundamentally that is what you need to get solved first. Now, once you have understood that documentation of how you want to run a business is important, whether it's humans or AI, next thing is what about the tribal knowledge that's sitting in people's heads, whether it's your system integrator, their team, or whether it's your own team. They have a lot of things in their brains. Even that needs to be pulled out. I call it the tribal knowledge extraction process. And then document that as well, because guess what? Humans you don't have to necessarily document everything for them. If somebody falls on the floor, pick them up and take them. You don't have to do that. They have common sense and they have some cultural values. With AI, you got to document even those things,
Mm.
right? You don't call in a helicopter just because somebody fell. Like AI
Mm.
doesn't know. It has capabilities to do everything. Go this way, go that way. So we extract that as well along the process. And the only way of making sure that your documentation is up to date is you have a neuro-symbolic engine that's following that documentation and is the only way of running your business. The moment you make that flip, I think you're good to go. Most important thing.
So let's just talk about everybody talks about AI, but also the outcomes is what we really would like to figure out. Like, if I did this, what really is going to be the outcomes? And then, of course, how do I keep it safe so I'm not putting myself at risk and all that stuff, as we all heard about with the guardrails and so on. So, what are some of the outcomes going down your path, right? What are some of the outcomes we can expect? And I'm assuming that it puts up all the necessary guardrails that doesn't put us at risk outside.
Yeah. So, we hear a lot about outcomes because for the first time in computer science history, and I've been a student of computer science for quite some time, a demo doesn't mean anything anymore,
Mm.
right? Because anybody can cook up a demo over a weekend. So it's no longer a world where you sell through a demo or through a feature list. Look how many check marks I have. That's not what impresses anybody. Just like you don't sell a self-driving car by saying, look, it's self-driving.
Mm.
You can't sell, like, people want to see, are people, how does it work in production at scale? Now, how do you even do that? Because that requires time to prove that, yes, it will work for the next 1 year. And therefore, people are saying, you know what? I just want to deal with outcome-based, discussions. If I do not get this much accuracy, or I do not save this much money or this much time in the next 6 months, no deal, right? That's what we mean by outcome. And I love it because that's a great way of saying, we're going to reduce the risk for you. There are too many AI pilots that go nowhere. Let's talk about outcome. Now, what kind of outcomes, Julian? So there are two kinds. One is at a smaller scale, meaning I have a complicated three-way match problem on top of my SAP, invoices coming, purchase order coming, goods receipt coming in. And you know what? I have revenue leakage happening. 1% of my revenue is leaking, and I have $1 billion, you know, um, invoices being paid. So actually 10 million I'm leaking, right? One kind of outcome is we just do that one particular process with 90 plus percent accuracy, 95% accuracy. Now you can think about how much money you're going to save. So that is one kind of simple outcome where you might save money or save time. Or sometimes it's just like, I'm going to create your sales quotes within 5 minutes, and that will be better than a human coming in and, after, the weekend. And by that time, your potential customer is already gone with somebody else. So those are different kinds of outcomes. These are mini outcomes.
Mm.
Then comes the bigger outcomes. And this is where I'm talking to leaders who have seen AI being plugged into many places and getting small benefits, but they come back and talk to me, Benny, I still have the same number of people though,
Mm.
right? I got the benefit in a small way, but what the board is asking for is how can we re-architect the organization, right? That kind of outcome means you are actually changing people architecture. And that's where we get into the discussion of creating assembly lines of AI machines. So it's no longer giving AI tools to every employee, because if you make every employee 20% more efficient, you don't end up anywhere other than employees having longer evening walks. And that's what people tell me. Like, because you have to figure out, if you have 100 people doing something in finance and accounting, how can it be 10 people? And it's like, the only way you can think of it is, instead of giving 100 people a tool that's a co-pilot or something, you actually say, no, I'm going to create a finance and accounting factory where AI engine is driving everything. And these 10 people are the sort of the factory workers who come in and improve the machines, the oil the machines and all of that, and make sure the machine is going fine. Now, if the business wants to accelerate, you accelerate the machines. You don't need more people after that, right? That's the end goal. That outcome is a multi-year goal. And some of the leaders are doing that, those kind of outcome discussions as well.
So, Binny, you kind of described some of the worst nightmare things that companies talk about, right? With the where's humans fit into all this, right? If every company chops off a very big chunk of their employee base, right? Which you'd imagine the people at the top, the shareholders, this is exactly what they would love to do, right? How do we
Yeah.
do the same or 10x with much less human bodies? Because obviously that's where the cost, the big costs are, right?
Yeah.
Is your position, because a lot of people say, don't worry, man, AI is not going to replace jobs. It's going to allow everybody to do more. And as you said, go for longer walks at night and enjoy life a little bit better. But in the reality, what's your thoughts on that as an AI developer?
Okay. So the reality is that it depends on governments, it depends on culture, right? But let's learn from the past. Agriculture. So in the early 1920s, 40% of US population was in the farms. Okay. Now there is 2%. And we are producing more crop, cheaper, better, faster at larger scales. These farms have become bigger in size because there are lesser number of owners. Um, where did the other people go? They went to the cities, they got some white collar jobs, whatever. They became lawyers, doctors, share, share advisors and stuff like that, right? Very different from farming. But we cannot say that, no, there'll be enough jobs in the farms. Don't worry, we'll produce more crops because, yeah, we are already doing that. We don't need people. We have tractors and combiners and harvesters, all of that, right? So AI tractor has arrived in the enterprise. All right. The challenge is right now, your farm plots are very like crooked and all of that. The tractor cannot even go. It's sitting outside. Some enterprises are saying, I'm going to level the playing field, bring in the tractor, but people need to get out of the way, right? You can't also be doing shoveling at the same time. The tractor is coming. You got to get out of the way. So you see some enterprises moving really fast, getting rid of people. Okay. My personal belief is that whatever the current work people are doing, like Accenture has 800,000 people. Okay. It's almost like a town. Okay. Whatever these people are doing, AI can do. It's very quickly, there'll be a huge number of transformation things. And now, where do they go next is your question. There is no other, so that I would say there's mental labor and then physical labor. And once we stopped doing physical labor, we went to mental labor. Now, once mental labor is also gone, I imagine, and what I tell my kids, like, what do they need to do? Think eventually there is influence, like you are channel news, right? Influence. I would not be spending my time talking to an AI bot, no matter, like I would not be doing that. Because you're a human, I would like to talk to a human. You empathize with me. So empathy, influence, and making sure you use your influence or your empathy to service somebody, right? That is a new kind of economy. What our kids have been telling us, hey, dad, I want to be a YouTube influencer or like whatever, right? And we say, no, no, why? Actually, maybe that is the future. People influence each other. But I can't tell you that a billion people will be doing that, right? There'll be a very few people. So I do not have a good answer that will make everybody feel happy about it. But I'll tell you another thing. Look at nuclear power. Okay. From a technology perspective, we built nuclear power decades ago. And guess what? We are still fighting over oil.
A
So
lot. We're still fighting a lot over
a
oil.
lot over oil. We know nuclear power creates less of a problem in the environment and all of that, but there is this fear of this huge power. So I don't know where AI will take us. Will it be as slow as nuclear power adoption? Because when people will say, no, I don't want it in my country or my community or my company. So I don't know. But from a capability perspective, I think we're already there. It can be hugely disruptive.
Yeah, it's what I also know and fear. And I think AI ultimately is going to help empower people to become more entrepreneurial and do things that they never thought possible. And I think how we were built for this new world, it's a rethinking. It's a complete reshaping of the way that people are going to be living and working. And for those who need a helping hand, I guess something of universal income will probably come up in the debate again. But it's without a doubt the challenge for us in this world today, Binny, is is how do we take this bull by the horns, right?
Mhm.
And drive it and take the ship where we want it to go. Because at the end of the day, it could get away from us, right?
Yeah.
But if we shape it in the right direction, we might be able to do crazy great things with this, right? Like obviously medical stuff would be an amazing achievement with AI. Literally getting people to stop doing crazy, silly work that is just repetitive over and over, which I'm not even sure humans were built to do. And to have them use more of their brains to, augment, their lives and so on. So I hope something like that happens. And comes to me to this quote that you said, which is 2026 is the year where the channel takes control of AI. I go a little bit on a similar thread in that I say the new MSP or the new channel partners are built in an OS operating system for AI. I mean, it's an AI operating system. And the question is, how do you, rejig your business to leverage that new operating system? Because it is different. The look and feel is different. The way you leverage it is different. The outcomes are different. And interesting stuff. And what's your thoughts? Why did you come up with that statement, first of all? And what I mentioned, do you
Yeah.
agree or disagree?
Yes. What I've observed in the last 1 year, or actually rather 1.5 years, when ChatGPT came and people were curious, they wanted to learn about that. And they said, hey, I want to learn, I want to upskill. You remember these ChatGPT cheat sheets that were being shared, like, hey, you can do this kind of prompting, that kind of prompting. Everybody wanted to learn themselves. But then the rate at which the technology itself has been changing has been so mind-boggling that now and people say, hey, I want to be a prompt engineer. As people say, why, what? And then even people say, I want to learn about RAG. They say, no, no, maybe even that's not needed. So now AI is moving faster than people can actually learn it. Okay. That has never happened in the past. Even the early adopters are lagging behind, and that's the current
Yes.
situation. So when that happens, they turn to people who are professionals at transformation. It's like, okay, I have my GSIs, service integrators, I have my other people that I have in the past outsourced some things like, hey, can you please transform this mess that I have, right? Sometimes they just give you your mess for less, right? But that's not most. I mean, the hope is you take my mess and make, Six Sigma, lean, whatever, make it really good. So these are the professional transformation people. So they are now turning to them is like, I can't keep up with all this, you know fast changing technology. I'm curious, I'll maybe do OpenClaw on my side in my personal Mac, but I'm not going to run my business. Why don't you guys who are professional at this, you bring in that transformation to me, and I run my business, right? So that's what is happening. So there's a great opportunity for people on the channel side to go and solve the problem for their customers, fundamentally because, as I said in the initial part of this meeting, knowledge of what you want to do is the biggest piece. Once you know, AI is becoming smarter and smarter by the day. If you can articulate it, it'll do it. So who can articulate it best in a way that makes sense? These are the people who have been doing it. Having said that, what I'm seeing is another challenge that is impacting the GSIs and the service integrators themselves, because they are also people heavy. They need to figure out their own story as to how they can say, you know what, AI can do it. I need to become AI native and AI first. And what about their own people? So there is their challenge. Now it's up to them to figure out how they can reshape this, right? Um, it's not easy for anybody at this point.
Yeah,
That's the reality.
it's still early days, and we're literally flying the engines while we, building the engines while we fly the plane, you know, and that 800,000 people company, Goliath, um, can it be done with 800 people? Who knows? But the reality is, it is obviously changing. It's funny. I actually took a course because I wanted to, I do a lot of AI interviews and so on, and I wanted to get into the weeds as I experiment. And it was a 6-week course, and I thought, why not? I should at least
Yeah.
take one course in my life around AI. And funny enough, almost 100% of what was in that course last year, by the way, um, AI is now has automated all that. So I didn't even need to learn that. So
Yeah.
I came to the conclusion that, AI course is not very good. Wait long enough, and AI is going to do that for you without
Yeah.
having to go through that learning experience. So it's almost like it's doing the work for you, and
Yeah.
so it's making it easier to do things that was before had a little. You need a little bit of skill to know how to navigate. Are you also seeing this on your side?
Absolutely. I think in my company, we are transforming how work is done. So starting off with engineering, now almost 100% of the code that is written is AI generated. Now, what are the engineers doing? The engineers are super busy. What they're doing is they are creating these pipelines of when a request comes in from support, that ticket triggers AI pipeline to figure out how to create a solution for that, test it out, and create a pull request that somebody can approve. Now, that pipeline itself, how do you create something that does not create a kind of code that it's not according to our principles or our guidelines? Like the UI should follow the design principles that we have in terms of the coding structure, multiple repository, all of that. That is where engineers are coming and saying, let us lay down the rules. So it's all about going one level up and laying down the rules for an AI engine to work. So that's engineering. Marketing is similarly transformed right now. I have OpenClaw bots doing exploratory stuff out there, right? Because it's external. We can take the risks. You can figure out whatever internally. Anytime you have to put an update on our website, that is going through an automated pipeline now. There's a new product feature that gets into the platform, and updates from that go into the X platform, go into a website. Our entire website is no longer using old stuff like WordPress or Webflow and other things we've used. It's completely built on Vercel, which is like Lovable, but I like a little bit more. Vercel and Cursor, right? But now it is following our design guidelines. So our designers are not doing things themselves, but teaching AI and scolding it when it does it the wrong way. So that's the transformation that's happening. And your point is right. We can do with 50 people what 500 people would have done earlier. But that's the new world where we're going in. I think for smaller companies, newer companies, it's a much easier problem versus a company that already has 5,000 people and has to deal with that problem first, right? I don't envy that situation actually at this point.
The great equalizer, my friend. It's something interesting, fascinating discussion, my friend. One of the things that I don't know if you would agree with this is like for the channel. I mean, our lane is channel the people who buy, sell, and develop technology for the world. That's our swim lane. We don't know who does anything to the left. We don't know who does anything to the right. We really don't even care. So in our world, the channel community, it's about them taking a more strategic leadership role, right?
Yeah.
To help, I don't know, shape, guide conversation into real outcomes, et cetera, et cetera. And I think there's just a truckload, to say it a simple way, of work um, that I don't think ever ends, at least for the foreseeable future. You got to help guide these companies into this new AI world. And I think that's the really big, I don't want to say gold rush, if you will, for the channel community. How do you see the channel fitting into this pie?
I think there are folks I'm working with that traditionally used to maybe sell hardware or, sell a few software pieces that were not related to AI. Now I'm seeing a lot of them saying, you know what, I can also help with AI, because it's all about who does the customer trust fundamentally, right? We're going into a world where trust is more important, because AI is the thing you don't trust. So
Exactly.
you're looking for people who you trust. And then what the channel does is, like, there's so many products and they have to advise the customer, you know what, for this you use that. Guess what, AI is just the same problem. There's so many models out there. Someday Grok is ahead, someday Gemini is ahead. So it's a great opportunity for channel. No matter what you've actually been selling, everything is actually now converging into AI or AI related stuff, AI related hardware, AI related software. SaaS is kind of dying or whatever,
Yes,
but AI is.
the stocks are.
Talks are because the Wall Street is predicting the
Yeah.
future where customers are going to say, you know what, I'm just going to custom build myself. But what do they need? They need a platform on which they can build. So they don't want to build everything. See, imagine like what AWS did with the cloud. AWS said, yes, I know you can go to your Best Buy and buy a computer, put it in your garage, and you can go build that. And then after doing a lot of work, you start building your application. Guess what? I've done all the boring stuff for you, firmware, security. You just build your app. In the AI stack, people are right now building everything in their garage. I built my agent framework. I did that. Eventually, there'll be a layer where people say, I've taken care of everything. You just focus on your business logic. That's what Cognitos we are trying to give them. Now, it's for the channel to educate and channel to say, you know what, there are 50 different things and they keep on changing. Here is a framework, and this is how we can help you. And we'll constantly change these things, bring it to you, but you focus on the app layer, right?
Mhm.
That's a great opportunity for channel to do right now.
Funny enough, Benny, that's what we do, trying to help channel understand the 50 choices and bring it down to what makes sense. It's very, very complicated with the amount of noise that's out there. Most humans, as you know, right, they turn off when it's just simply it just sounds like noise.
Yeah.
And when you translate this to the C-suite, that's even more noisier. Just trying to convince the C-suite people of how cybersecurity could impact their business has been a mountain to climb. So now it's a lot of different moving parts, is what I'm saying. And channel partners, this is where value comes in, is to learn from companies like yourselves and to dig in to understand how you could impact them and their clients, and how do they work with you to kind of get that job done. Because at the meantime, this transition is gap that they need to understand what you do, how you do what you do, and then to figure out how to translate that into what they do with what their customers need to do, and to somehow make sure they're sticking somewhere in that pipeline, if you will, that supply chain, so they can
Mhm.
make their some money, I guess, and live happy. I'll give you the last word here, Benny Gill. What do you want the channel, particularly my audience, to know about how your solution can impact what they do with their customers and themselves as well?
Yeah. So we focus on mission critical or business critical processes that are paper heavy or people heavy. Think about money flowing through the business where audit is important, hallucinations are not acceptable, right? That's where we focus on. And getting that right is a hard problem. It cannot be vibe coded. But AI is able to do that. So given the framework that we provide, so our message to the channel is anytime you are facing those kind of problems, order to cash, procure to pay or even in healthcare revenue cycle management, there's a whole lot of places where you can make money if you do it right, right? It, if you have one instance where there was a hallucination, somebody's gonna question you, then you should not just use any kind of AI. You should think about neuro-symbolic AI, where there will be a governed way of executing. Planning is creative. Runtime, execution shouldn't be creative in many, many disciplines in business, especially finance. You don't want to be creative every transaction, because how will I even audit that? So that's what we provide. And in fact, that is why computers were invented in the first place. In my payroll, finance, humans used to make mistakes. Computers came in, we got rid of mistakes. Now, that's the same place we want to say we want to apply AI as well to the same problems with the same kind of guarantees. And that's where ROI is at this point.
Absolutely. And Benny, if we can get the governments to buy into that concept so they don't have to waste their money too much, that would even be better, right? So we could all save some money. Anyways, it's been a pleasure talking with you, Benny, and keep us posted. And what's the website address for them to learn more?
Yeah, you can go to kognitos.com, Kognitos.com. I came up with that word. It's like a cognitive operating system. We're just making a better, smarter system for businesses to run.
Good stuff. Great to know what the name means as well. Benny, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Julian. Take care.